Okay, we've been sent a case in today to evaluate site. The notes are, would you take a look at this file and offer any critique in digital implant placement for number 12 and number 13. Unfortunately, there are no already planned implants there, so it would be difficult for me in this particular situation to offer any suggestions on any adjustments to the plan. So typically I would not offer any advice here, but in this particular case, let me go ahead and go through and pretend this were a case that I were doing. Again, I have limited knowledge of what's going on in the patient situation, but let's just assume everything is great. The first thing I would do is just kind of slide through in the 3D view here the Tui Dentist Sites, and right away my initial thought is these are great sites. Looks very nice. Looks like there was some grafting done. You can see right here the radio opacity there, and right there as well. So it looks like some grafting was done there, and it looks like great sites. I would certainly have this radiolucent area on the mesial root of number 14 evaluated, just to make sure there's not anything going on there. And then as also you can see right here in the sinus on the upper left hand side, there's something fishy going on there above tooth number 15. So certainly I would have those areas looked at. And then also we can see in a patient here on the upper right hand side, wow, we can see quite a bit going on there. So I would certainly have a closer look at potentially any issues going on in the sinus. As we look here in the axial view, we can get a better look at the sinus, and we can see that this patient's right side is pretty well clogged up. That may coincide with a cold, may coincide with some kind of tooth-borne issue. And also we can see right here on looks like tooth number 14 right there on the mesiobuccal root, and right there on the palatal root, definitely something possibly going on there on those particular teeth there. So one of the things that I like to see is, while we're using this technology for implants, it's always good to see that we are also verifying some other things. I like to see is, for example, on number 14, I would probably double click in that area and use the findings tab here. Click on the findings, I would write radio lucency, mesiobuccal root number 14, and so that way we can have it marked and documented, so that way we know that we're taking a look at these things. It becomes a good legal documentation for us. And while we're over here, let's take a look. You can see here on this site, we can take a look. There's something going on over here as well. So again, I would do a finding in this area, just like so. Okay, so we can see that as well. So I like to take a look at our scans and make sure that we're not missing anything. I don't think it's coincidental that we've got something going on here, and we still got something going on with the sinus there. So certainly, again, you can take a closer look right here, and you can see that's pretty associated with each other there. In fact, I would say right there. Let's take a closer look at that. There is a break in the sinus right there. So again, we can see that right here, that break in the sinus. So I would encourage my patient to have this looked at, and certainly to have something done about that. Yeah. So on to number 12 and 13, what we were taking a closer look at. So the good news is we can get CEREC data in. So this is going to be a digital guide, either an Opti guide, a Digi guide, or two CEREC guides if you want to do in-house milling. A couple of critiques I have in terms of the CEREC design themselves. So I take a look and kind of where I draw my margins here, where the margins are drawn, and that doesn't typically make sense, that these two would be different. So I'd like to draw my margins a little bit more accurately in terms of having them look more like what I expect my final restorations to look like. Now this may have a tissue defect where that is going to look like that. The other thing that I would also do in this particular case is I would right click and clip along the active slice, lock it in place, and we can take a closer look here. Also here, I don't like seeing, unless this is our intention, this gap right here in our design. I would like to see our designs a little bit more accurate in that sense. Also, in taking a look, a buccolingual width of the two teeth are quite different. One is smaller than the other, and I'm not certain that that is accurate there as well. Again, you're talking to a stickler here about these things. So again, I just would like to see these things a little bit more accurate. We can't plan very well without having the accurate data there. So let's quickly roughly plan 2 implants here. I'm not going to go through the exercise of planning them more accurately until we submit the plan data, but we can see that based on I don't see any major issues here in terms of being able to place a couple of very nice dental implants. Okay, again, since I don't know more accurately where that tooth is or how that design is really going to look, I can base it off these two teeth, and these two teeth, sorry, number 4 and 5, do not look like 12 and 13. So our crown down process is going to be slightly flawed here. So I would probably say that this is going to need to look a little bit more like this. Can't get too close to that root. So something along this line right there would be by my bone level, and I would be pretty happy with that plan. Again, it's just I'm being thrown off a little bit by this and the location of my central groove. I'm not certain that that is actually correct. And then I would come in and plan tooth number 13 in the same manner. So we'll go ahead and get that done just like so. Get that in the right spot. There we go. And 13 is actually a little bit easier to do than 12. But I have zero issues that these are great sites. We may, I would be more than happy or prepared to do maybe a little bit of a push or allow the implant to do the push there. And then here I'd probably go with an 11.5 millimeter implant. And then here I'd go to about a 10 millimeter implant, with my bone level being about right there. So no problem. So if we could maybe possibly resubmit a case with a couple of implants there, I would be happy to take a look at it. But based on what we've submitted here, I don't see any major issues in terms of putting the implant here. I do have a concern about possibly placing the implant with maybe a residual infection, missed MB2, any number of things that could possibly be going on here on 14. In fact, let's take a closer look in the axial view here on 14, and I would probably say that right here I'm seeing a mesiobuccal 2 canal there. So I would probably guess here that we have a missed MB2, which is a likely contributor to our radiolucency on this particular tooth. So thank you very much, and I look forward to a resubmission on this case.